Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Do you prefer Miss Lewis or Leah?
Leah is fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a few questions about your use of alcoholic beverages during this past year.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. So how often do you have a drink containing alcohol on a scale from 0 to 4, with 0 being never and 4 being 4 or more times a week?
I would say a 4.
Okay. And how many drinks containing alcohol do you have on a typical day when you're drinking?
2.
0 being 1 or 2,
Oh, okay.
1 being 3 or 4, 2 being like 5 or 6, 3 being 7, 8 or 9, and then 4 being like 10 or more.
2.
Okay. Okay. Um, how often do you have 6 or more drinks on an occasion? 0 being never, 4 being daily or almost daily.
3.
Okay. So about weekly.
Mhm.
Okay. How often during the last year have you found that you were not able to stop drinking once you started? 0 being never, 1 being less than monthly, 2 being monthly, 3 being weekly, and 4 being daily or almost daily.
2.
Okay. Um, how often during the last year have you failed to do what was normally expected from you because of drinking? 0 be it's the same scale,
Mhm.
so like
Right, right,
0 being
right. Mhm. 3.
okay. Okay. How often during the last year have you needed a drink in the morning to get yourself going after a heavy drinking session?
4.
Okay. Okay. Um, how often during the last year have you had a feeling of guilt or remorse after drinking?
1.
Okay. How often during the last year have you been unable to remember what happened the night before you had been drinking?
Mm, like a 3.
Okay. Um, have you or someone else been injured as a result of your drinking?
Scale still?
Yeah, so we're 0 being
2.
no, 2 being yes, but not in the last year, and 4 being yes during the last year.
2.
Okay. And last question. Has a relative or friend or doctor or another healthcare worker been concerned about your drinking or suggested that you cut down on it? With 0 being no, 2 being yes, but not in the last year, and 4 being yes during the last year.
4 the last year.
Okay. So now that we're done with the questions, will you be willing to take a few minutes to talk to me about your drinking?
Yes.
Okay. So, based on the questions, it looks like you're drinking 20 to 24 standard drinks on a weekly basis, and you have 4 or more standard drinks on one occasion on about a weekly basis.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that sounds about right.
Okay. So as you may or may not know, drinking above certain levels can cause problems, such as not being able to do things that are expected of us, or even feeling guilty about one's drinking habits. And it could also lead to not being able to stop, which leads to chronic uses of alcohol and or alcoholism.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't feel guilty about my drinking really. I don't have a problem and I feel like I can stop at any time. I just feel stressed and have a bit more wine or liquor than I'm supposed to.
Okay, I understand. So can you tell me a little bit about those stressors?
It's just work related things after I've had like a hard day. I need to pick me up or start the day. I may need a sip of wine to help me get through it, but that's really it.
Okay. So I understand. Work-related stress can put you in a bad spot. Um, and it may be inducing you to go and find things to alleviate that stress and
Mhm.
like self-medicate, self-help. So looking at your scores, on the audit questions, it was about at a 28, which is kind of high.
Okay.
So this means that you're considered in the high risk level. And it shows that you are in the range of possible alcohol dependence. and you may need further diagnostic evaluations. Have you ever been treated for an alcohol problem?
Wow. Okay. Well, no, I've never been in a treatment. I just can quit cold turkey, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, trying to quit cold turkey could lead to other complications and difficulties. Seeing that you do feel stress and you get the urge or need to drink to alleviate the stress, at both morning and at night,
Mhm.
it would probably be better to slowly decrease your amount of alcohol while receiving support.
Okay. So should I limit how much I'm drinking or how many drinks is that?
So the low risk drinking limit standard is around so it's different for both men and women. For women, it's no more than 3 drinks per day,
Mhm.
and no more than 7 drinks per week. And the size of these drinks would be 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, and 1.5 ounces of hard liquor. So maybe try limiting
Mhm.
how much you're taking in a week and in a day, and instead of just quitting cold turkey.
Okay, I can do that. I should lower it from 5 or 6 to 3 drinks.
So yeah, or maybe even 4, being that you're doing like 5 or 6 drinks now,
Mhm.
it may to start at 4 to get yourself used to consuming less alcohol than usual,
Mhm.
and then just continue moving down.
Mhm. Yeah.
On a scale from 0 to 10, with 0 being not at all and 10 being extremely, how important might it be for you to change something about your drinking right now?
Maybe like a 6?
Okay. Why is 6 and not a lower number?
Because maybe there's a few things I can do to change how I manage my stress, replace it with something more productive maybe.
Okay. So right now, I think it may be best to go for further assessment and implement the changes that you stated before, lowering it by 1 drink until you reach the limit, or you're completely able to stop
Mhm.
consuming alcohol. And I also think you would benefit from attending maybe AA meetings. And you can find these on the website. You can find it locally where you can go in person. Or I remember earlier you mentioned that you work. So if you can't do it because of your work schedule, there's a lot of different AA meetings that's available online. So you
Mhm.
may be able to join one of those just so you can have that support and know that there's other people going through the same things,
Mhm.
and you'll have more support around you.
Right.
So will it be fine if we schedule to meet again in a couple of weeks just to have a follow-up to see how you're doing?
Sure, sounds good.
Okay, great, see you then.
Okay, bye. So Regina, thank you for coming in today. How are you feeling?
A little anxious to be honest. I've never been to therapy before.
That's completely understandable, but you're here now and that's a big step. Can you tell me a little bit what brings you in today?
Well, I kind of been drinking a lot lately, and I don't mean socially. I've
Mhm.
been drinking alone, sometimes to the point of blacking out. I know it's not healthy, but I just can't seem to stop.
Okay, I see. Have you ever heard of something called SBIRT, SBIRT?
No, I don't think so.
So it stands for screening, brief intervention, and referral to treatment. It's a way of addressing substance use that becomes more popular in recent year. Would you be open to going through the process with me today?
Sure, I think so.
Okay, great. So the first step in is screening. I'm going to ask you a few questions to get a sense on your drinking habits, okay?
Okay.
Okay, first off, how often do you have a drink containing alcohol?
Pretty much every day.
And how many of those drinks do you have on those days?
Well, it varies. Sometimes I have just one or two, but then other times I might have five or six.
Okay, have you ever had a period of time when you drank more than you intended to, or when you tried to cut back but you couldn't?
Definitely.
Gotcha. Have you ever had to deal with any negative consequence as a result of your drinking? Anything like legal trouble, relationship problems, or health issues?
Well, I haven't had any legal trouble, trouble, but my boyfriend has expressed his concern about how much I'm drinking. And I've definitely noticed that I have not been as productive as at work as I used to be.
Gotcha. I see. Well, based on your answers, it sounds like you're drinking at a level that's putting you at risk for some negative consequences. The next step is brief intervention. I want to talk to you about some of the ways drinking might be affecting your life and offer some strategies for cutting back, okay?
Okay,
So you mentioned that your boyfriend is worried about you drinking. Have you ever talked to him about your feelings?
not really. I guess I've been kind of avoiding that topic.
Well, one thing you might try is having an open, honest conversation with him. Let him know that you're concerned too, and that you might want to make some changes. You might be surprised of how supportive he can be.
That's a good point.
Another strategy is to set some specific goals for yourself. Maybe you could try having alcohol-free days during the week or limiting yourself to a certain number of drinks when you do drink. What do you think about that?
I think that could be a good idea. I haven't really tried to set limits for myself before.
Okay. Finally, the last step is a referral to treatment. Based on our conversation, I think it might be good. Let's review results from the screening. I see that you reported using alcohol about once a month. Is that right?
Yeah, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, but that's about right on the average.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about your use? When did you start drinking?
Um, I first started drinking in April of last year during break, and the first time I didn't get drunk, and I didn't do it again for a while. Then over the summer, I tried it again a couple more times, and actually, I probably used to do it a little bit more over the summer, maybe once a week. Then I cut it down when school started, and
Mhm.
now I use about once a month.
Gotcha. What made you decide to cut back from drinking during the school year?
Well, I don't have much free time to hang out with my friends, so it doesn't come up as much when I'm not around them. And um, I also want to don't want the alcohol to interfere with my school.
Okay, so you have noticed that the alcohol can get in the way of schoolwork, right?
Yeah. Uh, well, it never happened to me, but I heard it could happen.
I agree with you. Alcohol can definitely make it harder to achieve some things that means a lot to you. Have you ever driven or ridden in a car with someone who had been drinking or using alcohol or other drugs?
No, I'm not stupid. I would never do that.
I'm really glad to hear that you made a decision never to drink or accept a ride from an impaired driver. It's so important to protect yourself. Cars can be deadly when they are in the wrong hands. Do you ever use alcohol? But do you ever use alcohol to relax?
Yeah, I guess so. It makes me laugh at stupid stuff when I'm with all my friends.
Mhm. Have you ever smoked when you were alone?
Just once, I
Just
had some leftover alcohol,
okay,
and I
gotcha.
just couldn't resist drinking it, so I just drank it in my room.
Gotcha. So it sounds as if sometimes it could be hard for you to resist alcohol. Do you get cravings?
No, not really. I mean, sometimes I see kids smoking and I think I would really like to join them,
Mhm.
but then I wouldn't call that craving.
Are you concerned about your alcohol use? Or your friends and family concerned about your alcohol use?
Well, my parents caught me drunk once or twice. I denied it, but I think they knew I had used it.
What did they say to you?
Well, they told me not to use it and that they would test me if they saw me looking drunk again.
Gotcha. Why are your parents against you using alcohol?
Well, honestly, parents don't want their kids to use drugs or alcohol. My parents are constantly telling me that alcohol could be addictive, and I think that they're worried that I might try other things.
Hmm. What do you think? Are your parents right? Can alcohol be addictive to you?
Probably, but I only drink once in a while, so I think they're overreacting.
Did you ever forget anything that happened when you were drinking?
No,
Did you ever get in trouble because of alcohol?
not really. But one time the police came to the woods and they knew all of us were drinking.
Okay, so let me get the picture right. You drink alcohol about once a month. You enjoy drinking with your friends. And once you drank by yourself in a room because you couldn't resist, your parents have made it really clear that they don't want you to drink at all. You've never gotten into trouble, but you've come close a couple times. Once when the police caught you and your friends in the woods, a couple times when and when your parents caught you. you know that alcohol could be addictive and that some kids would use alcohol. Um, did I get all of that right?
Yeah, I guess.
Gotcha. Well, it's probably wouldn't surprise you as your physician, I recommend that you quit completely. As you pointed out, alcohol can be addictive. Drinking can give you symptoms of chronic bronchitis, and you already know you have asthma. And it really sounds like your parents are giving you a strong message that they don't want you to use alcohol. You've been lied to about you've lied to them about it. I also worry that you may be finding it harder to resist alcohol when you're around, which can actually be a sign that you're losing control. What do you think you can do to protect yourself?
I know all that stuff, but I think everybody's overreacting. I'm only using it once in a while, but I'm definitely in control of it.
Here's my recommendation. How about a test? You're drinking about once a month. Why don't you see if you can go 3 months without drinking at all? Would you be willing to try that? That would be a good way for both of us to see how well you can control your alcohol use.
I can go 3 months. That is definitely no big deal.
Okay, let's try it then. I'm going to write down this plan on a worksheet, give you a copy, and give another copy to remind us both for next week. Your mother is waiting in the waiting room. Could you tell her that you made a commitment to quit for at least 3 months?
I definitely don't want to discuss it with her, with my mom.
All right, well, we'll keep this conversation between you and me. I would like to see you back in 3 months to see how the tests went. Can you come back for a follow-up appointment?
I don't think so, because I have school, and my mom would have to drive me here.
I usually see you in the spring to refill your asthma medication. That's about 4 months from now. Let's see if you can come in early so we can check back in then.
Okay, I guess, but you won't tell my mom, will you?
Right. I told you and her I would keep our conversation private just between us, and that's what I'll do. I don't think so that you might want to tell her at some point. It sounds as if she already knows about that you tried alcohol and now you've just agreed to quit for a few months. I bet she would be pleased, but I'll leave when and whether and how discussion up to you. Well, our session is coming to a close. Before we end, I just want to take a moment to reflect on what we discussed today. How are you feeling?
I actually feel a lot better than when I first came in. Thank you for all your help.
That's good to hear. I'm glad that our session was helpful. Remember to take care of yourself and try to do the best from refraining drinking and surrounding yourself by people who drink. Is there anything you would want to take away from today's session?
Yes, I think I want to work on my breathing exercises and try to be more mindful of my thoughts when I'm starting to feel anxious.
Those are great goals to have. Keep in mind that the therapy is a process and it takes time and effort to see results, but I'm confident that you have tools to manage and overcome any challenges that come your way.
Thank you so much for your help.
It was my pleasure. Have a good day. Okay.
Bree, I'm Dr. Reynolds.
Hi,
It's nice to meet you.
me too.
Before we begin, I'd like to know a little bit more about you. Would you mind telling me a little bit more about yourself? What's a typical day like for you, and what do you do for fun?
Okay. Well, I go to school, come home, eat a snack, and then sometimes I might go out and hang with some of my friends.
Oh, okay. Thank you for sharing that with me. So, tell me why you're here today.
Well, I live with just my dad, and some of the girls I hang out with are a little bit older than me. And they like to smoke marijuana and drink alcohol. So I kind of started doing it too. My dad hates it, and I have gotten into trouble at home and at school for doing it. I have ADHD and marijuana calms me down. I don't like it when my dad gets mad at me. The alcohol and marijuana helps me cope. My teachers don't really like me that much, so I don't do my best. Just the passing grade is all I care about, really.
Oh, I see. I want to tell you that you're showing great courage to come here today.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for me before we move on?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start out by asking a few questions, and these are questions that I ask all of my patients, and I want you to promise me to answer them honestly. And I
Okay.
promise I will keep you confident, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so Bree, in the last 12 months, did you drink any alcohol more than a few sips?
Yes.
Okay. Did you smoke any marijuana?
Yes.
Did you use anything else to get high?
Mm, no.
Okay. Now, there's 6 more questions I want to ask you, and I want you to still answer them as honestly as you can, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Have you ever ridden in a car driven by someone or even yourself um, while you've been high or using alcohol or drugs?
Yes.
Okay. Do you ever use alcohol or drugs to relax, make you feel better, and make you fit in, help you fit in?
Yes.
Do you ever use alcohol or drugs while you're by yourself, by your alone?
Yes.
Okay. Do you ever forget things that you did while you were using alcohol or drugs?
Yeah.
Okay. Do your family or your friends ever tell you that you should cut down on your drinking or your drug use?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever gotten into trouble while you were using alcohol or on drugs?
Yes.
Okay. I want to say thank you, Bree, for taking this step. I know it's difficult,
Mm.
but I want to recap on what we discussed today. So you told me that um, you do drink marijuana. I'm sorry, you do drink alcohol and you smoke marijuana,
Mhm.
and you do it just about once a week, and but you smoke daily.
Mm.
You use it to relax, and you do have ADHD, so it helps calm you down.
Mhm.
Told me that you just only live with your dad, just you and your dad,
Yeah.
and your dad doesn't like to see you drinking or smoking marijuana. And I heard you say, I believe that your friends are kind of older than you, and they kind of supply your
Mhm.
alcohol and the marijuana that you do consume. Am I
Yeah.
right? All right. And then one last thing I think I heard you say is that you're not really concerned about school. You just do enough to get by.
Mhm.
And one of those reasons is because you feel like your teachers don't really care anyway.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I want to say that I know that was difficult for you, and I understand. And you're being very, very brave to talk about these things with me. So based on our conversation and the answers to all the questions, I'm going to refer you to an outpatient program. And what
Okay.
that's going to do for you is going to further assess you and see where you are in the risk factor. See, are you at risk to do drinking even more or doing even more drugs? In
Okay.
the, okay. So in the meantime, I do want you to keep doing some breathing exercises to keep your anxiety down. And I want to see you. I'm going to get on this paperwork right away so we can get you processed to see someone to get a better understanding of where you are. And then we will go further with some type of treatment. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me at this point?
No.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for coming in, and I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you.